everyone!
Hey there!
What's up? Welcome back. Excuse me. Wow. Welcome back to the Virtual Write-Ins. I am Maddie.
I'm Emily.
Welcome. If you have watched one of these before, you'll recognize me, but not Emily. So Emily, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm brand new here. So my name is Emily. I'm from Chicago. So came all the way out here just last week, actually. Super excited. I go to the University of Chicago. Going to be a third year, and I'm studying creative writing and gender studies.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So this virtual write-in is really to get you all prepared for camp. So we're going to be doing like a lot of like pretty much basic like writing stuff with some sprints thrown in. You can ask questions if you want. I would ask those at the end though, just so we see them and we can get to them. Otherwise, they're going to speed past because there's so many of you here. Just so exciting. Here's 100. My reader says 119, so that's super exciting. But yeah. So if you have never joined us before, these virtual write-ins are really just to get you to write, to get you some inspiration, get you ready for camp, get you writing some words for camp. Just a fun time.
Getting the juices flowing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So today, like I said, we're going to be doing like the basics of writing to get a good groundwork laid for camp if you don't have a project started already. Now, camp's special because you don't have to write a novel. You can do poetry. You can write a play. You can count by time. So if you want to do revision, you can do that. It's really just like a playground where you can be free creatively.
I know some people have even done music projects for camp before.
Cool.
Yeah,
Oh
like
gosh.
just writing like a song every day, which is really ambitious.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Oh God, that's really hard.
Yeah.
So I sing and I write, but I don't songwrite. I think
Is that
so
together?
hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. So make sure practice too close to do that. So I think we can get started. Our first little topic is characters, because if you're gonna write a story, or maybe not a song, but even poetry has characters, whether they're like emotions or what else would be a character that's not like a physical character.
Sometimes the narrator.
Yeah.
Narrative voice can be a really big thing.
Mm-hmm. All that sort of stuff. So it all relates to any project. So usually you'll have a main character or your protagonist. It could be both. They could be evil, so maybe not a protagonist, but
Not necessarily.
yeah. And I think one of the big things that I have about main characters is there has to be like a reason that they're your main character. Like there's a reason your story is focused around this character. Do you go the same way?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes you have like a cast of people you really like, and it's hard to pick the one you actually want to focus on. So how do you go about that?
Usually I start with creating a character. So the plot is kind of focused around this character and what they do, and that kind of like helps me kind of drive the story without it being like, oh, here's this little cardboard cutout I have just to make my story like go along, just so like I have kind of a placeholder, like having a character do something that causes their story to happen. And I think that it makes it a lot more interesting, I think.
I like to think about usually I start with some plot ideas first, and then sort of construct a character who is positioned in a way where she'll be like in the thick of all the tension, sort of have like an inside perspective on everything that's going on. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. What about, and you guys feel free to comment. Oh, I see. Are our mics working? Is it too far away? Let's see. The mic is really weird. Okay. Let me troubleshoot this. Let's find out.
Can we put it between us?
Yeah. Let us know if it gets too like blocky. I see our mic is working on our screen. Oh, it's bright. Did that work?
This is the fan.
It probably just sounded like static. Yay!
Cool.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Thanks for letting us know.
Hopefully you can hear a lot better now.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Thanks for putting up with us.
Well, hopefully we were hearable enough, but now it's probably a lot easier to hear. Sound like we were underwater, but that would be fun. That'd be a fun place to have virtual write-ins underwater. Our technology probably wouldn't work that well, though.
Tragically.
Tragically. Be a cool thing to write about. Okay, so back to where we were. We also have supporting characters. Those are also necessary. Just to, I feel like they're not like there just to like support your main characters, but they're there to like round them out. Like, does that make sense? Does that distinction make sense?
Sort of like as contrast to your main character's traits? Yeah, that makes sense.
Like they could have a story focused on them, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've got to have enough background where it's like you still like them and you still like want to know about them.
And as a writer, I think one of the challenges with that is like not getting distracted by your like thrilling supporting characters. You can explore those routes definitely as you develop your plot, but I think one of the things about like pushing through a writing challenge is like really persisting with your protagonist.
Yeah. There's a reason you chose them. They're the chosen one. And you also have to have your antagonist. Now, antagonist is another one that doesn't have to be physical. It could be, there are those like 5 like plot structure things.
It's like versus nature and
versus man, like man versus man and like man versus nature and oh my god, man versus emotion, society.
Like self?
Yes, man versus self. And there's one more. Technology? Is that one?
I think so.
I feel like it's like a new one.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sci-fi edge, perhaps, if the robots are going to take over. Yeah, I'm working on a project right now that has sort of a lot of ambiguous antagonists. And as I was thinking about that, I was trying to categorize them all, and some of them are societal, but like come through in one person. It's all very interesting things to think about.
Yeah. I like creating antagonists that like if you create them well enough, you're like, oh gosh, like they have some pretty good points.
Right? That is one of the most exciting things. Yeah.
But like maybe they're not going about it in the nicest way, and that's what makes them the antagonist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a character. I'm writing mafia stories right now, and so I have a whole like set of those. And I have a character who she like doesn't like the way that the family is being run because they've done a lot of terrible things. And then she maybe doesn't go about it in the greatest way. Yeah. What about you guys? What are some of your favorite ambiguous antagonists? Because I feel like that's like that's like one of the things that makes the story really good. Is like I always think of Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender and how like
watch this.
Oh my gosh. Well, she's one of those characters that you really understand where she's coming from with her evilness, like how she was driven to this kind of like very dangerous ambition, I guess.
I find family member antagonists really compelling because there's like immediately that bond where they are family. Yeah. But you understand through the protagonist's eyes that maybe they do some really terrible things, but you know, it's just a whole level of complicated dynamics. Let's see what you all are saying.
Let's see. Yeah, some people choose what series? Zoe Raimi says my main character is the bad guy, and I think that's a really interesting way to come at it too, because then you really see their whole perspective.
Yeah, I've never tried that. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's always the question of, do they see themselves as the bad guy?
Yeah. How do they justify it in their minds? Do they win? Is another, like, really interesting thing about that. You also have anti-hero, too, which is kind of straddling that, like, antagonist-protagonist line. Yeah. I like all these. We're just reading all your comments.
So many of them. I love it.
Robert Knapp says twins with opposite moral compasses. That's a really cool dynamic there. Look at all these creative characters already. I love it. You're all so ready for camp.
And I think one thing that you can do to sort of start exploring these things, since we were talking about characters as a starting point, you might switch around the point of view you're writing from.
Oh, yeah.
Which is something I find really helpful, because sometimes, if you're writing from your protagonist's viewpoint all the time, you get kind of stuck. I sometimes don't know why my protagonists are making the decisions I do. And if you switch up the viewpoint, maybe to the antagonist, that would be the extreme example, and get some more insight.
You can see it through their eyes. Yeah. Now, what point of view do you usually write in, first, second, or third? I
usually write in third.
Third person.
Yeah, that's just the habit I fall into. I think it's a lot of fantasy novel reading.
Yeah.
With alternate reality situations, that kind of thing. It just lends itself a little bit in the world building.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I usually write in third, but I find voice comes easier in first person.
Yeah, that's something I struggle with, actually. It's a challenge to get deep enough inside your characters' heads in third.
Yeah. And still manage to tell their story and see their viewpoint. All that fun stuff. But that's why we have these virtual write-ins, to kind of help us all get through it. So we're going to move on to plot now. We've touched on plot a little bit, because I really think characters and plot are inextricably linked. And so the plot, by definition, is what's the problem? What's going on in your story, and how are your characters going to solve it? That's why we're reading your novel. That's why you're writing it too. And I think one of the more interesting things to me about a plot is it's not solved right away. There's always some extra conflict. You try and solve it and you fail. Your characters are seeing the wrong problem, or they create an even bigger problem in solving the first one. Those kind of things that they don't fall. I hesitate to say cliche, because I really think cliches are just something that you're going to happen upon, and it's how you finish them out, so it makes them non-cliche. But yeah, that sort of stuff.
I totally agree about the cliche thing. I mean, there's a reason that certain tropes stay so iconic in all of our narratives, and it's just about execution and finding something you really leaning into about those cliches or tropes, and just giving it your all, I think.
Yeah. And I know ooh, excuse me. Ooh, all the comments. All the comments. What do you guys think about plot? What's the hardest thing for you guys about plot? Maybe we can talk about that.
Maybe beginnings, endings, getting there.
Getting there. I know I struggle with getting there. When I start a story, I know the beginning and I know the ending, and then the middle is I don't know. Serpentwine said, if you make the plot first, you can choose the characters' personalities later, which may help with natural reactions of your characters. That's a good piece of advice. The middle. Yeah.
Lots of you are saying the middle.
I struggle. I'm there with you in that struggle.
There's a good mix here, though. Some of you are saying beginning. I think what happens a lot, I had a writing teacher who said that the beginning is usually the part writers return to the most and rework time and time again, because even after they write it, the book carries on as it does, and you return to the beginning, you're like, oh, this looks a lot different than where my book ended up. So that the beginning can be tricky in that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure in beginnings. It's I know for me, when I'm reading, if an author hasn't captured my attention in 3 pages, I put the book down. Sorry. I know.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the struggle with the beginning is that pressure. It's not that you don't know how to write it. It's that you want it to be perfect. And I think that's something that we have to put our inner editors away and be I'm going to write this beginning and it's going to be great. And you can write it and you can write it again and again and again. And each time it's going to get better, and you're going to find something you like about each one of those. And then ultimately you're going to come up with an amazing beginning. Yeah. I know. I don't think I have any beginnings that I'm like, yes, this is how I would start a story.
Sometimes I think of a line, like a first line or something, and I know it has to start there. And I can be very stubborn about it, which is not good. But sometimes that's like the spark you need if you're excited about something. It can get you through those opening pages.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of like ending lines like that. But like it's like, yes, this is how I want my story to end, and now we're gonna get there. There's a lot in that. It's amazing how much like motivation that could like bring you. It's just like one line.
Right. Yeah. I think that's how I get through Nano events. It's like connecting all the little gems you sort of have shuffled through in your brain. And like telling people about them too. Yes. If you have an idea and you like bounce it off someone, oh my gosh, that's so rewarding.
And then they get really invested and they're like, yeah, I want to read this when you're done.
You have to write it. So that's a good way to help through plot problems.
And I think like starting at the place you're most excited about, whether you think it's the beginning or not, I think is really important, because then like you're invested, it's going to show in your writing. And then your reader will be invested, because whether you mean to or not, they'll be able to see that in your writing. And I think that really helps. Yeah. Cat's Rule 001 says beginnings are also scary because it feels like you're committing to something. Which, yes and no, because like you're committing to yourself to write a story, but like that's super exciting. You're like embarking on this journey. And don't feel, I guess it goes back to what we were saying, is like, don't feel pressured to commit to that. You're not writing in stone. I hope you're not writing in stone. You're writing on a Word doc. And like, I hate deleting things. I hate it. It makes me feel sad, because it's like, what if I wanted to read this again? So like, just open a new doc.
Yeah, again. That's the beautiful thing about technology.
Yeah.
And even if you're writing by pen and paper, which I know some people do.
Yeah.
Just like cross things out, or like just leave it.
Yeah.
And keep turning pages.
Turn a page.
It doesn't have to be beautiful.
No. Much of the editing process is not beautiful. Let's see. I think we can do a reverse sprint. Are you guys ready for a sprint?
Yay.
I'm ready for a sprint. I want to write.
I love sprints.
Okay, so this ties together both our plot and our character little discussions, and it's have a character create an inciting incident, which is, if you don't know what an inciting incident is, it's something that makes the plot start. So like, I was trying to think of some like literary example, but I couldn't even think of it.
Oh dear.
I know, right? It's like hard.
Everything has an inciting incident.
Yeah. Like, well, this is one that's not literary, but like, say you have two characters who really don't like each other, and they get locked in an elevator because one of them was like messing around on the elevator, pressing all the buttons to annoy the other one, and then they hit like the fire one, and now they're stuck in that elevator. What do they do? Like that. You don't have to use that one. You can if you want.
Yeah.
But like, make some characters, make an inciting incident, make some chaos. I'm gonna start my timer. So you have a couple of seconds to think. That's alarm. Stopwatch. Nope, timer. Okay. Like I said, 7 minutes. Characters. It can be multiple or one.
Can be for any writing project.
Yes.
Just to get the ideas sort of working. Maybe this will be going towards your camp project. Maybe this is just to, play around with an inciting incident.
Yeah. It's for inspiration. Woohoo! 7 minutes, like I said, and we are gonna start now. 1-minute warning. And that's time. Stop. Stop writing. Alrighty, what did you write?
What did I write? So I got, let's see, 90 words.
There you go.
I write in written kitten.
I love Written Kitten.
Word
Oh my
Springs.
God.
Highly recommended. Writtenkitten.net. I almost got to a picture of a kitten. I was 10 words away. So I wrote about one of my characters who works in this really stuffy academic library in my slightly underdeveloped alternate world. And I wrote about sort of the moment his employer changed. Let's say he has some shady underdealings.
Oh,
So yeah, I wrote the moment where they meet.
oh, that's cool. I did not follow the prompts because I'm terrible. But
Sometimes I guess you just gotta go for it.
I know, right? Like I have this story that it's actually my first Nano novel that I'm rewriting.
Aww.
My first Nano was in 2008, and I'm rewriting it now, so it's like kind of surreal, but it's cool. And I guess I'm kind of writing the inciting incident right now because it's like one of my characters loses her memory. And this is like when everyone finds out that she's lost her memory. Half the people in the story know that she's lost her memory and they change her identity to keep her safe. And the other half thinks she's missing and they're looking for her. So that's that moment. This is fun. It's a fun story. Obviously, I've been working on it for like 9 years. It's kept me invested. Look at all these word counts.
Wow. Y'all are so impressive.
Merbadon got 216 words. Ashley Lynn Johansson got 263. Please Stop wrote, I mostly wrote dialogue. That's okay. That's still part of your story. You're writing. That's what counts. Look at these. I love all of these. Handwriting. Oh my gosh.
Kudos to that.
Yeah. My hand would hurt so bad. It would be. These are great. For like, you guys wrote like this much in like 7 minutes. Think how much you can do during camp. Wow.
I'm so proud of you.
Yay! I love writing dialogue. I think it's so fun. And Naomi Wilson's also writing all dialogue during that last sprint. Because there's like so many things. The characters are always so sassy. They do what they want.
Sprints are good for writing dialogue, I think.
Yeah.
Because I get just into analyzing it when I'm sitting here by myself. I like type dialogue very slowly, but if there's a time limit, it just sort of comes out like a conversation. Yeah.
It's that pressure,
Mm-hmm.
which is why sprints are great for writing fast. That's what I mainly do sprints during Nano, and I can get like 900 words down in like 15 minutes. And then I'm like, bam, half an hour, I'm done with my Nano for the day. It ends up with some really weird stuff, but it's the word count that matters, so. Alrighty.
Got a lot of sassy characters out there too.
I love
That's
it.
good. That's the fun stuff to read.
Those are the characters that really like jump off the page, or the sassy ones. Memorable lines. Alrighty, so should we move on to our next?
Yeah, what's our next thing?
It is Setting. Do you want to talk about setting?
Sure. So the way I like to approach setting is in sort of layers. You have the setting that affects your character in the immediate day-to-day. So right now, Maddie and I are on this couch in this room. You could have lots of nice descriptive details about where we are situated within it, and sort of in relation to each other, or how the room is decorated, you know.
All the weird stuff you can find in here.
Yeah.
Like Blobby.
Blobby. We love Blobby. So those sorts of things help, I find. They pull the readers in. They give them sort of a sense of orientation, where they are within the world. And then the other setting layers, as I was calling it, are more, you know, societal, or maybe on a small scale, like friend groups, where they are in relation to each other, that sort of thing. And then, of course, world building. If you're attempting any sort of non-realism, that can be very exciting, sprinkling all the details.
Yeah. Building a realistic, immersive, just like brand new world for your readers. It's like,
I love doing that.
That's like so hard for me. Like, I think that's so cool, but oh my god, my brain. See, I would get so distracted. I mean, like building this world and be like,
yeah, that does happen. Sometimes, like, you write what comes out and you make sense of it later, or you have to ask someone, you know, does this make sense only to me?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, like, that's fine. You just gotta keep writing. So, do you write a lot of realistic settings then? Or?
I do, yeah, just so like I can focus on my characters, just because of that. I'm very distractible. And I would just get, it's like Sims, you know? It's like you get so built up in like building the house that you're like, oh, like I actually have to play this game later.
Yeah. I always got built up in like designing the characters. I don't think I've ever gotten beyond like a single bedroom with like really beautiful Sims in it.
Let's see. What do you guys think about setting? What's hard for you? What's easy? Do you have any tips to write setting? I know for me, like the more basic, the better. I have a short story right now that takes place in a private residence at the Plaza Hotel, and it all takes place there. And it's like, it's something that you can kind of rely generally on people's imagination because it's a hotel room, you know? So like it's in a busy city. It's going to be like, usually hotel rooms don't have a lot of color, so it's going to be like white. Probably not a lot of personal items. But that kind of stuff, it kind of just comes naturally to people. And then the little things that are like special are kind of the extra details that you can focus on.
All these things, I think setting especially can be filtered through character.
Yeah.
So if you really feel strongly about your characters, then it's just a matter of like saying, oh, when they walk into this room, you know, like what do they look at first? What's the sensation they get just from the atmosphere? And that, I think that's really exciting. You figure out a lot of things, both about where your character is and about their personality.
Yeah. Like, do they notice it's really dirty, and like what's their reaction to that? Like, are they like, ew, it's super dirty in here, why isn't someone cleaning it? Or like, oh, like it's so cozy in here, it looks like it's been lived in. Like, those are two totally different characters you immediately get images of. Let's see what everyone is saying about setting. Random and Lovely says, dialogue and character are my strengths. Setting and plotting comes less naturally. I feel that.
I think a lot of us feel that.
Yeah.
Eden South says, when it comes to a historical setting, how accurate do you have to be? Well, I love accuracy, but not everyone is me, first of all. And second of all, if your story is compelling, if I want to read it, I literally don't care about like any sort of like, are they eating the wrong foods? Oh no, could they like not get that beautiful birthday cake or something in this time period? Like you can do a lot to build up your reader's willingness to suspend their disbelief. So all the research you can do, in my opinion, sort of falls short to just like writing a
good story,
a good narrative. Yeah. But research is fun.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like up to a point you can get away with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that your readers won't notice. Like if you don't know, they probably don't know either. But like if you want to write a historically accurate novel, I wouldn't put like robots in there or something. Like electricity is something that I know get really like wrapped up in, or not like wrapped up in, but it's like it's easy to forget that like I was writing an American Revolution story last year. It's easy to forget they don't have like switches. They can't like light up rooms at night. Like they need candles, and it's like that's something that like super easy just to be like, oh, they flipped on a light, but they don't. They don't have that.
So some sort of like a common knowledge.
Yeah.
Everyday things are really important, just so you don't like jar your reader out of the experience. Say, oh, like it's like 1780. They wouldn't have a light they could just flip on. It would be a little more intense than that.
Yeah. But like, do they have running water? I don't even know if they have running water. Would they have running water then? Do you guys know if they would have running water? See, like, it's this kind of stuff you're like, oh, like, maybe this one house has running water. I don't know if they had those mechanisms back then, but it's like that kind of stuff where it's like, oh, I'm not sure. So, like, this is the reason they have it. Yeah, sorry, there's a car. There's life outside the Nano office. I'm glad you all like the car alarm.
The car's just so exciting. Yeah.
See, everyone can join in on Nano. Everyone. The car is an editor. Yeah, that's your inner editor. Ignore it. Make it go away. What else? Okay, so we have some tips as well for getting unstuck, which I think is something that everyone, no matter how inspired you are by your writing, everyone's gonna get stuck at some point. They're gonna be like, I don't know where I'm going with this, or like maybe your inner editor comes out and is like, you don't know how to write this? No, make them be quiet, first of all. So some of the tips that I have are I always start with the part of the story you're most excited about, and either other parts will just follow naturally. You'll be like, oh my gosh, like they're here, they're at this bank, and there's a robbery, and now they're going to follow the robber. And so like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see where they go with the robber, how they follow them. And I think from that, like what you're excited about in writing, kind of like what I was talking about with beginnings, is going to be what other people are excited about reading. And you shouldn't focus on like, oh my gosh, like what if other people think this is boring? If you don't think it's boring, it's not going to be boring to other people. Yeah. What do you think?
It's a very solid tip. No, it makes me really happy to think about that. And if you have other people, whether it's in your life or online, who want to read some of what you've started, really just, being vulnerable for a bit, showing them some of your writing, hearing their response, hearing them be excited about it is a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Some supportive friends.
I have a lot of friends who do Nano. So they're always really interested, and they want to read, they want to write. It's like a great big circle of inspiration. Positive feedback? That's so cool. Yeah.
Other tips? Unstuck tips? I think some of you all have been describing things.
Yeah, what do you guys do to get unstuck in your writing? Because I just go all over. I have so many projects going that are like, if I don't want to write one, there's another that I can hop into.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's a good habit.
Then it's like a change of focus, and my stories are like different enough. But
I go on a lot of walks. I end up being like very physical about like breaking my block. I walk around places, maybe literally just pick up and write somewhere else. Sometimes that works. Sometimes the rare occasions where I have written for extended periods of time by hand have been attempts to get unstuck.
Oh, so like change how you're writing.
Yeah. Those feel like kind of, I don't know, odd tips, just like.
But like that makes sense because I definitely feel like I write different things when I'm typing versus when I'm like handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it's easier to slow down and get description for me when I'm handwriting. And I write a lot of dialogues. It's like fast and speedy and bantery when I'm typing. So I totally
that makes a lot of sense.
Also, one of my favorite things to do is like just like close your eyes and write. Maybe not if you're handwriting, but like if you're typing and you know your keyboard well enough, like just like close your eyes and just go. Just like you can't see the mistakes you're making, you can't see all the typos you're making. We did this as a writing prompt in November, and it just like my block of paragraph text was just like utterly unintelligible. It's so fun. If you want to keep some of the stuff, I would like either turn your screen really dark, or so you can like look at your keyboard, or like turn the screen far enough away from you that you can't see it while you're writing. But the experiment of closing your eyes was really fun and really ridiculous.
See. Fiona Jansen says one way to get forward is orally tell your story to a close friend. That's kind of what I was talking about. I've done that a lot. I just feel like it's a really efficient way of like getting your ideas just sort of blah out there into the world. And then that friend usually has something to say that's like, oh, what about this part? Yeah. You know, and then, oh, that's an inspiration, you know, that's an idea. And you can start writing from there.
Also, yeah, David Holland says the Writer Die app works. I love Writer Die. It's very similar to Written Kitten. Written Kitten is a nicer version of Writer Die, but I think it's writerdie.com. And you can set it to various settings. I don't use one of the worst settings, not the worst settings, one of the most incentivizing settings, let's say, where it deletes your writing if you stop writing for long enough. That's too scary for me. You can set it to, like, the screen turns red if you stop writing for a certain amount of seconds. You can set it to make noises at you, like really terrible noises, like out of tune violins or something, or like, I don't know, crashing cymbals. I haven't gone through all the sounds. But if you work well under that sort of pressure, I highly recommend that. Yeah, it's super fun.
I'm not sure. I think I will try it, but just I'm not sure what the experience will be. Okay.
Yeah, because like they also have like a nice one where it like chimes and tells you should continue writing. That's like the easiest setting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like the screen red. Explaining things to rubber ducks, Sammy Vision says. That's adorable. Yeah, if you don't have someone close by or pets will always listen. They will listen if you give them more pets. And also the forums on Nano. Like that's a great place to, because everyone's a writer there. Everyone wants to hear what you're writing about. They'd be happy to give advice if you want it. So I highly recommend that too. Stuffed animals definitely count as pets. I don't know how to say your username. I'm sorry. LR3KG40. That's a user.
Are you a cat person, Maddie?
I'm a dog person. I like cats.
Good.
But I'm a dog person.
I've never had a dog. I've had many cats. So
I want a dog next year. I'm moving into a new apartment. I have to ask my roommate if we can have a dog.
I'm hoping for you.
I'm hoping for me too. But like, I have a little dog on here. His name is Sid. He's a lemon beagle. He has an Instagram. Yeah, let's move on to our final topic. We have another topic and a sprint for you left. So stick around for the next 15 minutes. Our final topic is time management, which is something I feel like it's something that's a little more on your mind for Nano, maybe a little less on your mind for camp, just because you can cite your own goal for camp. And also, like, just to hype camp a little, you can change your goal at any point during the month now, and there's no end date on that. So, like, you can win at any point, which is great. So my little tips for time management, you can choose a time and place every day to write if you're someone who likes structure, like scheduling. I know for me, like, I never have the same schedule. It's always different every day. So I usually try and find like little 5-minute chunks of time to write. And I think the more you practice at whatever habit you choose, whatever works best for you, the easier it's going to be to write, the easier it's going to get to your goal for July, for November, for April, whatever project you're participating in. And also, like, be forgiving of yourself if you miss a day or 2 or 3. Like, we all have busy lives. Totally understandable. Just, like, keep that promise to yourself to write, but also be forgiving. Because life happens. Do you have any time management tips for the crowd?
I'm not much of someone who's like productive after 5 p.m. basically. So I try to get my writing done like as early in the day as possible, just so it's not such a slog for my tired self. At the end of the day, I'm seeing a lot of you write really late at night, and that's great. I think that's a lot of people. If that works for you, if that's when the inspiration is hitting you, then that's great. But what else do I do? I set timers sometimes if I think I'm not going to be very focused, just because sort of like arbitrary deadlines are huge incentives to me somehow. So that sort of, makes me close out all my like browser tabs, and log out of Facebook and stuff, and just write for a set period of time. And then I feel, pretty good about putting that amount away each day when I'm working on something like this. Yeah.
Hazel Davidson says, best hours are as late as possible.
Maybe 3 a.m. Wow. I just love sleep, guys.
Sleep is the greatest. Oh my God.
That's another thing to always keep in mind when you're working on big projects, is just keep your body healthy. Hydrate. Yes. Stand up every once in a while.
Yeah. Have snacks.
Ooh, yes. Good writing snacks. Yeah.
I'm so bad. Don't follow this advice because I'm terrible during Nano, but I always say sleep is for December during Nano. Because it is. It's for December. I get that 50,000 done. But don't follow my advice. Stay healthy. Otherwise you're going to get sick in December, and that's no fun. What else? Are there any time management tips that we missed that you guys have that really work for you? Let's see. Oh, my chat for us. Oh, no, there it is. Okay, the chat's distracted. Oh yeah, Petrocolor. That's a really good advice. Petrocolor says keep a notebook. So for those times when you come up with a really good idea, but maybe you're on the road, maybe you're busy doing something else, keep a little notebook with you so you can like jot it down. Do not trust yourself to remember that, because you won't, and then you'll be angry with yourself. I've done that so many times with good lines, good plot points, and then you're just like, no, I had such a good idea, now it's gone. So yeah, that's a good piece of advice.
Having a separate notebook for it is super nice too, because I have so many plot ideas that happen like in the middle of class.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
That are just in the margins, never to be found again.
I know, I still kick myself. There was one, I wrote down like 3 lines, and then I was cleaning out my notebook. So I tore the pages out and threw them out as I was talking to one of my friends. And I know where the trash can is on campus. Oh my God, I still like kick myself for that. And every time I read the like section of the story that those lines were supposed to be, I was like, that's those lines. They're in that trash can in the Coho at UC Davis.
I missed who said this, but someone mentioned, Nicolo started using the notes on their phone, which is great, because most people, if you have like a smartphone, you just have it around all the time, so you can quickly jot that down.
Wait, let's see how many like notes are like story oriented on my smartphone. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One is titled story notes. 10, 11, 12. 12 of my probably 15, 17 notes are all story oriented. Now, some of them have not been updated since November of 2014, but still I have them. They're here. They're saved. I think we have one more sprint for y'all, so we should do it before the clock strikes 2. This one, I just really like this in stories in general because I think it adds a nice layer of conflict. This final sprint we have for you today is have your character make a huge mistake. Whether they fail to slay the dragon after all of their training, or maybe they insult the queen to her face. Maybe they don't get to the big battle on time and somebody else saves the day. It just kind of adds another layer of unpredictability to your story. I think a really good example of this is How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favorite series. And in How to Train Your Dragon 2, Hiccup, the main character, if you haven't seen it, he is so convinced that he can convince the bad guy that what he's doing is wrong and tries to fix things peacefully. And if you haven't seen the movie, he fails in a very major way. And I just think it's so compelling to see a main character lose. And I just think that's so cool. So make your character lose.
And how long are we doing on this one?
We are doing this for 10 minutes. Let me pull up my
a little over
clock. Yeah, we're going to go a little over, but that's okay. This is a prepped one. Okay, 10 minutes. The prompt is make your character lose. And go. 1 minute warning. And that's time. Alrighty, you can leave your word counts in the comments. Tell us what you thought of this camp boot camp. Our virtual write-ins for July will be a little more writing-y than this was, if that makes sense. We'll have shorter discussions and more sprints. This is just to kind of lay the groundwork for you for camp, so I hope it was helpful.
It's great being here.
Yeah.
You all.
Yay. Yeah. Thanks,
Wow,
Emily, for
really?
hopping in.
Really impressive word counts.
Look at these. Katie Stafford got 226. Emily Letzinger got 534. Holy moly. Jackie Z got 147 handwritten. That's awesome. Kelsey Cooper, yes, we will be hosting the virtual write-ins for July. They will be on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Yes. They're all scheduled on YouTube. The last one will be at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Are we on daylight or standard? I don't even know.
Standard right now.
I think so. Pacific time.
Yeah.
You can Google time converter if you live in a different time zone, which I'm sure many of you do. And the final one, which I believe is July 26th, I want to say. Yes, July 26th will be at 11 a.m. Pacific time, just because we have other things going on in the office. Yeah. If you have questions about writing that you want us to answer, leave them in the YouTube comments, not in the chat. Maybe we'll get to them for the next write-in.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll inspire some of our write-ins for July. I hope you guys had a lot of fun, and we will see you. The first virtual write-in for camp is July 5th, so we'll see you July 5th. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Bye-bye.